price, you know?
Well, the rent is also different in Taunton than it is here. It's a different expense. I'm not telling you double by any
I'm not
means.
trading money to half of what's in that place. It still looks like I could buy a pool there.
One of them, of course.
And that other place too, they're gonna keep that building, so there's gonna be all that oil inside that building.
Surprise. No, it's a surprise.
Have your attention, please. Welcome to the zoning board meeting, September 12th, 2023. My name is Marty Akins. I'm the chairman. So vice chairman, Mr. Radell. I got board members, Mr. Himmel, Mr. Chin, Mr. O'Brien, Mr. Frankel, our clerk, Mrs. Noonan, and the director, Mr. Conlon. If you have a cell phone or a pager, could you please put it on silent and vibrate, not to interrupt the meeting. If you want to speak to your friends, please go outside. It's tough to hear in here as it is. One thing I want to say is, we're going to bring up something at the beginning of this meeting about some charges to this board. And one of them that I read has to do with me and my mistakes. Somewhere between COVID and coming back to here, I never approved the past minutes readings, which we should have done. I should have done that. And that's my mistake as the chairman of this board. And I'll take full responsibility of that, and I apologize to the public for that. Right now, if I could, I'd like to make a motion to waive the reading of the previous minutes and approve them, please.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Mr. Chin, could we please give everyone a note that's going to speak? If anyone's going to speak tonight, please stand and raise your right hand. If you plan on speaking at all, please take an oath, or you won't be able to speak.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in the matters now in hearing? Yes, it is. Thank you.
And I have Director, Mr. Conlon, would like to address the zoning board. Mr. Director?
Members, regarding the reconsideration of the request for the ZBA case 2357, 72 South Bayfield. Dear board members, after further review of the above referenced zoning board case, I discovered that the owner omitted information in the zoning board application concerning a prior zoning board decision. A list of all prior zoning board cases is required field in all zoning board applications. The omitted case in question, case number 2017, June 30th, 2020, allowed the construction of a 12 by 20 foot shed along the left side property line. The owner never recorded this decision with the registry of deeds and went ahead and constructed the shed without obtaining a building permit. No inspections have been performed, and the location of the shed is in question. Additionally, there are other building and zoning code issues and violations with the property, specifically a large pergola that has been constructed in the rear yard without a building permit. No inspections have been performed to verify the wind loading resistance of the foundation. The board did not have the benefit of this newly obtained information listed above while considering the decision of the most recent case, ZBA 2356, at the public hearing held August 22nd. Therefore, I recommend that the board reconsider its decision in case ZBA 2356 in order to also consider this new information listed above, and that a new public hearing be scheduled to properly facilitate this matter. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Conlon. I wasn't at that meeting, so if anyone wants to, that was at that meeting and voted, wants to make a motion to reconsider, I will take it. If not, I can't make that motion. Anyone voted yea?
Make a motion to reconsider ZBA 2357 and a positive vote that we gave at 72 Bayfield Street.
All right, motion is a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Can I raise your hands, please? All in favor? Opposed?
Nay.
Nay. 4 to 1 it passes. 3 to 1 it passes. All right, that will be done. Shall be noted. Further on to tonight's agenda, we have the city solicitor on an open meeting law complaint. That's what I was talking about earlier. He would like to speak. City solicitor? Thank you, Mr. Timmons.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good evening, members of the board. I sent out a memo enclosing the violation issues, and the proper procedure when you have an open meeting law issue is that you hear the allegations, you address them, and then at the conclusion of that, I would ask you to make a motion to appoint me to respond formally on behalf of the board, and then I will do so based on the discussion tonight. But does everyone have in front of them the violations that are complained of? I was thinking I'd just go through them sequentially. This can be pretty quick because there are some particular issues that were complained about. They don't go into the substance category, it's more procedure. And the first one is that there were no time-stamped open meeting law certificates on file in the city clerk's office. And all that means is all appointed officials, all board members, were supposed to do a review under the state ethics law of how the state ethics law governs your behavior. And then you were supposed to sign a certificate regarding the open meeting law materials and file them with the city clerk. Now, what I regret is the timing on this was such that, you'll recall, we met back in February when you had your organizational meeting, where we went over a lot of these issues. Because it's an all-volunteer army. I know we have one lawyer, and I think, I beg your pardon, yeah, we have 2 lawyers on the board. And, you know, they're not municipal law attorneys. So there are some areas here we would not be familiar at all. And I regret that some of this fell into those areas. But I understand, and I confirm with the city clerk, that she's in receipt of signed open meeting law certificates. Have each of you done this with the city
I
clerk?
don't think I have.
You haven't yet?
I don't think.
Okay. Well, she said there was one, no, you did.
Okay.
You did. There was one missing at the time, but when I checked here, I went over it and it seemed we had all of you, so maybe we don't have the chairman, actually.
That's
Correct, it's down. That would be.
You have
It
it.
was turned in
Perfect.
last
Okay.
week when I was.
All right. So that violation is cured, but what I will do is acknowledge that it occurred, and then I'll explain some of the efforts we've had to inform you on the various issues that are in this program. The second violation relates to approval of minutes, and that is an important matter, an important issue. One thing that mitigates against the failure to approve is the fact that due to the efforts of the gentleman to our left, all these meetings are streamed, they're online, they're available, so people can find out what happened. But still, you're under an obligation to generate minutes, approve them, and then post them on the website. And that's a pretty ministerial thing. It's one of those practices that once you establish it, it should be easy. And Mrs. Noonan is adept very readily to the position here, so. It's my understanding from what you said earlier, this has been corrected, Mr. Chairman?
All set.
Great,
It was
great.
brought to my attention, though, I don't even know how I missed that, I really don't, but it was from COVID, when I have my stuff I write out every time, and we just copy it and move on.
It understood. I mean, it's an important matter, and I don't want to minimize the fact that we didn't do it, and I won't when we report in, but it's corrected, and that's what's important. The third one is a little troubling, but I understand that it may be based on misinformation. The third issue is that there was a discussion regarding the cancellation of the August 8th meeting, and that it didn't occur in the public view. And I don't know who would clarify how the decision was made. If Mrs. Noonan cares, I don't know if you've had a public speaking role before, but
I think what happened is, what I was told, there was nothing on the docket for that meeting that filed. And the clerk called me and said, we're canceling the 8th meeting because there was nothing on the docket, period. And that's,
Yeah, there was nothing, and it was just based on if we were gonna extend a case, if I remember correctly, that meeting, yeah, it was, I could not be there.
I wasn't gonna be.
You weren't gonna be there, and we didn't know if our alternate would be there as well. So that was the decision that was, we had talked about publicly, like the meeting had not adjourned yet, though. So there was a discussion prior to the meeting beginning. So It was more of both, and the
Attendance
fact there
record.
was nothing on the docket, and that there was, obviously, we were down to potentially 4 without an unknown 5th, and we had, so if we were gonna extend anybody past that date, it was go to the second date in August instead of.
In August.
Yeah, instead of,
It would have been 3.
yeah, instead of putting somebody on and then having nobody be there, if I remember correct. So,
Any other members with comments? That's what was explained to me. I confirmed it with Mr. Conlon. You know, there's a screening process to get ready, and nothing was ready for the agenda. So that being the case, there's no affirmative obligation, although you plan to be available and meet on August 8th. If there's nothing on the agenda and no reason to meet, there was no affirmative obligation to establish a meeting, so nothing was advertised, nothing occurred. So I'll inform the complainant directly on this issue, but I'll also make sure that it's clear when you make the report to the Attorney General's office what occurred.
and we'll also make sure that if that occurs again, that we'll do it publicly. It was just more so that there wasn't a meeting, we knew people were gonna be out.
Right, that, it's rare that that would happen.
Super rare. It's probably the first time I've seen it in my 10 years. So.
All right, and you're getting called on it. Okay, and then the final one is in relation to something that appears to have happened while the body was together, and there's heightened sensitivity when a quorum of you is together in one place, that you may talk about something, and that's considered to be a deliberation. So once 3 of you are in the same room, there's danger afoot as far as your ethical obligation. So can someone explain what went on the 25th of July, when it's alleged that prior to the meeting, there was some discussion with I think an applicant about whether closets were going to be present or whatever?
Correct. We're sitting right here, and the client was right there. And I says, you said you don't have, this before the meeting started, people were right here. I asked her, right, so we'd know when we're discussing the case. I said, you have closets downstairs, but you say there's no bedrooms down there. She goes, no, those closets were never supposed to be in the drawing. I said, okay, guys, the closets aren't in the drawing. That's all that was said. Then we went into the meeting. When they came, I says, as she said, there's no closets down there, so they weren't bedrooms. And that's all that was. Everyone was here. We said it in front of people, but the meeting didn't open yet. We were just about to open it, and I says, you know, just so you know, you're first on the agenda, I see a bunch of closets down there, just to get the number of bedrooms right, so we all got the same discussion. It was nothing about sneaky. There was no sneakiness. It was in front of everybody. And I said, are these closets in the plans? Are they supposed to be there? Because those are bedroom closets. And you say there's no bedrooms in the basement. She goes, no, they're not in there. I told them, don't put them in there, but somehow they're still in the plans. She goes, take them out. That was it. It was innocent as can be.
The issue that we had is we hadn't opened the meeting. That was
The issue, I guess,
only
with
issue.
whoever's
So
complaining.
in the future, we'll make sure that if we have any
Don't have
open
it.
discussions, the meeting's open,
Right.
we understand what we did. It wasn't.
And it was in
planned
front
next
of
time.
everybody. No one talked secretly. There was no secrets about no closets.
We weren't requesting it to be removed prior to, we just asked the general question.
Are you having closets in your basements? Because we're looking at the first set of plans right here. It was just before, we're just waiting for everyone to set up.
Well, I understand. You just have to be sensitive about the fact whether the meeting's open or not is not the issue. It's whether there's a quorum present and you're talking about something. That's the problem, but
I got it when I
Yeah.
read that, but there was no malice at all by anyone on this board.
I don't think anyone's ever accused you of having malice.
Hey,
Well, we understand
started this.
we understand where we
Mayor
faulted it.
Phelan
Right,
started this.
and the fact that it was brought up again. I mean, the concern is that you could whisper to somebody,
No, we won't.
hey, is that widow's walk staying on the plans? And the person goes, yeah, and, you know, so that can be a problem.
I
But
get it.
I understand what happened in this particular instance, and I said that at the outset here. It seemed that the substantive facts were not as, you know,
Malicious.
I won't say concerning because they're concerning, but not as offensive as they might have otherwise been.
No, I think that specific case, if I, it was strictly to the applicant in front of everyone, and we did have a quorum, we just hadn't called the meeting to agenda, we had.
And then when you called the meeting, you discussed that issue.
We asked again at that meeting, so they removed, and the
Okay.
applicant
Acknowledged,
specifically
correct.
acknowledged that they were
All right.
removed.
It had nothing to do with anything but for information.
All right, understood. So if it's agreeable, I'm aware of where we're coming from and all this, and I think I can prepare a proper response as far as your obligation to respond to the complaint, and
I'd
then
like to
I'll
make
send
an
something to
appointment.
the complainant directly.
To you?
Pardon me?
We're gonna appoint you to.
Yes, if you make a motion,
Yeah.
appoint me to respond on behalf of the board.
Yeah, could you please?
Yeah, I make a motion for Solicitor Timmons to respond on behalf of the board to the complaints as of, from meeting date of June 26th, 25th.
Second.
On the motion, none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed, so moved.
And if I could just comment on that motion to reconsider, I think the next step should be that, I hope you don't take any action on that matter tonight.
We're not,
Yeah, okay.
we're gonna
'cause
set
the-
another day.
Yeah, we should notify all interested
Right.
parties what's going on and
Yep.
reschedule, okay. very
Schedule a
good.
month from now, so.
Very good, all right. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Nice to see you all, sorry about the circumstances.
Thank you, Mr. Timmons.
See you later, Russ.
Yeah, you know. Mr. Frankel sitting in, Mr. Chin is leaving. Thank you, Mr. Chin. One second before we do anything. On Liberty Street. You're in Liberty Street. All right, which we're gonna do now.
Yeah, can you sit for a minute?
You were in Liberty Street. You were in Liberty Street. Mr. Himmel, you were there.
You were.
Because I watched it. You were, Mr. Frankel. So let's go back to that one more. We have one more to do.
Eventually.
And what I'm gonna ask the applicant is, I watched it on TV because I was sick. I understand the whole case. I understand why they did that. I would like to sit on that as well.
Yeah.
Any? Okay. That'll be included in, Mr. Akins will sit on it as well. And Council, you're up. Come to old business.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you again for your service. Not always easy, I know. Last time we were here, the board had some concerns with the traffic flow and suggested that I obtain a traffic study, which we were able to do. We retained Jack Gillen to conduct a traffic study. And we took also a new, fresh look at how the traffic would flow in terms of the parking on the site, because the site is on the corner, and there's actually an egress on Water Street that was referenced that was not part of the site at the time. One of the board members had suggested maybe utilizing that egress and obtaining a permanent easement for the use of that egress, which we have. Mr. Feely is here. We've spoken to him. He's actually approved a permanent easement, and that could be a condition should the board consider this favorably. So that the entrance would actually be on Liberty Street, and the exit would be on Water Street, and that would allow for a much smoother traffic flow. It would allow for the parking to be not quite as difficult to maneuver in and out of. And according to the traffic plan, in any event, it would not even delay traffic for a second at the peak hours in the morning or evening rush hour. These dispensaries aren't really jam-packed with cars at any point in time. But nonetheless, with BJ's gas station there, I can understand the board's concern, plus the constraints of the actual site itself. I think the suggestions were all good, and actually I believe that it came up with a better a better site plan in terms of the entering and exiting of the vehicles. So you have in front of you the site plan with the parking plan, 10 parking spaces. Entering, we would be closing a curb cut on Liberty Street, which is approximately in the middle of the site currently. The other curb cut at the end of the site towards the self-storage building would remain open. Cars would enter in that curb cut, park, and then exit, continue on in that one-way direction out onto Water Street. Now, Water Street, the light at Water Street is a little close, but that light is not historically a light as depicted in the traffic plan to back up in any shape or manner. In other words, nobody stays at that light more than one cycle, even at peak hours in the morning or in the evening hours. So maneuvering out of that site, the number of cars that would be maneuvering out of that site would not in any way impact that intersection. The most that would ever occur, it would seem to me, would be that this light cycle would change. Somebody exiting the site might have to wait until the light cycle changed and then maneuver out safely. But certainly, it's not going to cause any type of traffic backup or delay for anybody on the streets already.
I've been driving around in these different places and sitting there, probably like a freak. People think I'm a weirdo if they saw me. Watching people going in and out of these places, like I'm gonna rob them or something, I don't know. But really, there's not a lot of traffic at these places, and I'm wondering why. Like, is there that many people that have medical, I mean, I just don't.
It's not happening.
I know
Well,
it's
it's-
not medical, that's the
sales-
reason.
the
That's the
sales
reason they're not
overall-
busy. I went to the ones that aren't medical. They're not busy, and I talked to some of the people going in there, and they're getting better deals everywhere. I mean, how many of these can the business itself?
Well, it's like any business, location,
Yeah.
and where it is in relation to other dispensaries. So in Quincy, there's room for a number of more dispensaries according to the state law.
Right,
However, there's
right.
the one at the,
Saturated.
yeah, in this.
And there's
so
not many cars at these places that I thought was gonna be a lot. I really did.
And I
thought there'd
know
be a lot.
Attorney Silverman
Yeah.
has better knowledge on
Yeah.
dispensaries generally
Right.
and what the, what the trend is in terms of.
And I'm talking to them, and they're
number of
talking
cars.
about that they give a lot of discounts now, that, and if you're a patron there, you get a percentage of your money, so you get discounts the next time you come in, so they're all fighting for this business, they're all fighting for it. I mean, personally, do I see that as a place that's good or bad? Parking isn't, to me, isn't a problem, and the traffic isn't a problem, because it's always from Liberty Street coming up to the gas station is the problem, right there, and if someone sees that it's all backed up anyway, when they're driving down, they just go by them to get gas, for a nickel more, you can get it somewhere else, so.
It's difficult sometimes to get into BJ's at the peak hours, but getting into
Yeah.
this place, you can only hope.
But was this study, my original question I wanted, was this study done with the new exit? Or was it done before the new exit on Water Street?
No, it was done in anticipation of the
Okay.
new exit. It has a little different configuration in
Yeah.
terms of the parking. We reduced the number of parking spaces because it was just too tight.
Right.
And you just don't need that many parking spaces in these dispensaries. So we gave more room in terms of the traffic flow, made it a little bit safer in the parking lot, and gave up the parking spaces. But the traffic study itself was done in anticipation of
Okay.
entering on Liberty and exiting on Water Street.
Any questions?
I mean, to the chairman's point, I drove by it a number of different times over the last few days, just to kind of gauge it myself. I saw more impact probably from vehicles on the lot rather than vehicles entering the lot. I do appreciate you guys taking the opportunity to find alternative uses for exits, because I think that may alleviate some challenges in terms of trying to come out of there if somebody was to take a left, Because I think coming out of that Liberty Street exit to try and take a left. But the few times that I did drive by, there was, some traffic at the light, but nothing formidable, I think that the one thing that we often get caught up in, as we do as people, is, peak hours have a tendency to amplify our perception of a situation. And from what I know of consumers of this product, there is very little, they don't want to be at peak hours as well. So I think that in non-peak hours, you will have no problem at all. And at peak hours, I don't feel like it'll amplify the situation at all.
Any questions?
No, I like the fact that they're gonna have an easement onto Mr. Feeney's other property. And will that be a right-hand only turn there, or?
We didn't anticipate a right-hand turn only, although I would think that most vehicles that were gonna be exiting would be going right if they were entering from Liberty Street. On the other hand, even going left-hand on that location, I don't think would really create an issue, particularly with the lights there, would actually allow for an easier flow to go left, but I'll leave that up to the board to consider. I mean, if it's necessary, it's necessary, but I don't see how it necessarily helps. But nonetheless, we're open to that if.
You gotta go right, yeah, you can get back on the highway right there, just take a quick right.
Yeah, I'd be happy if it was a right, but please.
I did read the traffic report, and I went down there last Friday night, and I got gas at PJ's, so I could look at the site. And I think it's a good idea to have the easement. I think it does alleviate, having a one-way through the parking lot does help. So I have no other questions. Yeah, no, I'm good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone that want to speak?
I have a few questions
Yeah.
and comments.
Come on up. Name and address for the record, please.
Yeah, I'd like to ask.
Name and address first.
Wait a minute.
Name and address
Name and address.
My name is Tomohide Yasuda and 74 Pleasant Street.
Okay.
Okay. Is your client,
You can ask through us and
Yeah.
we'll ask.
You
them.
ask us.
okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Is the applicant going to allow their customers to consume marijuana on their premises?
So I take it you weren't here for the previous meeting, but that was specifically addressed by us as the board, that there was no consumption on site. And, that there is no ability for us, you're still allowed to utilize on public streets, but there was no ability to consume on site.
Okay, I have another question.
Yes.
I'd like to make sure that everybody knows here that consuming marijuana in public is illegal in Massachusetts, right? And I'd like to know whether the Quincy police are committed to enforcing this law.
We're the zoning board. You have to call them and ask them if they're committed. I don't deal with criminal stuff here.
Yeah, we don't.
I don't write tickets for smoking marijuana in the city.
So it means that the board members are not sure about.
No, not at all.
commitment.
That's a police question. It's not a zoning board question. That's all I'm saying to you.
Okay.
So
Okay then.
when we approve.
Okay, so it means that your answer made it clear, at least to me, that the Quincy police, you are not sure that the
No,
police.
that's not
the
true.
police-
That's not you're putting words in my mouth. I said you have to ask the Quincy police. Do not ask us that. I don't know what they're committed to. That's their pledge and their honors.
Okay, so in this case,
Thank you.
let me paraphrase.
Another question? You have any other questions?
Actually, I don't have a question.
Thank
So
you.
then, okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Dr.
Name and address
Denise,
for the record?
I'm sorry?
Name and address for the record?
Dr. Denise Valenti, I have two address, one business and one home. The home is 62 Forest Avenue, which happens to be the closest community to the medicinal facility, Quincy, Mass.
All right.
All right. And 1372, I have a bioscience company located downtown Quincy that's important to this because we only study marijuana impairment and driving.
Thank you.
It is my opinion, having grown up in Oregon, it doesn't matter if you're pro-marijuana or you're against marijuana. We all have to really work in partnership to have safe roads and safe consumption of marijuana. I think this particular business is a unique opportunity to have Quincy as an example of how things should be done and make our roads safer. I gave you some information about the intersection with a stoplight. Cannabis impaired driving is a thing. It is real. There are deaths because of it. A cannabis user drives 24/7. There's such a thing as wake and bake, where they use cannabis before they go to work. Many of those people have killed innocent. I think this particular shop has some benefits for Quincy. There are a variety of people that will be against it and a variety of people for it. But I do think an opportunity was missed here for a more comprehensive study. Traffic studies don't mean just counting the traffic that goes through it. It's what can be done at that particular community level, street level, intersection level to make it safer. My research shows that cannabis users have dead spots in their vision. I gave you some information. Feel free to pass it back. That means they can't see stoplights frequently when they've just consumed. The configuration of that stoplight at that intersection, part of it has already got the remedy. Stoplight here, stoplight here. I think the rest of that intersection should be reviewed and configured to account for marijuana impaired drivers. It's naive, it's foolish, and it's irresponsible to assume that those people going to that dispensary, a percentage of them are not going to be high, driving high. There is going to be a percentage that present high and leave high. And we need to protect our community. And I think a better, more comprehensive traffic study that addresses cannabis specifically should be done, and the city should support this dispensary in their actions to make sure that intersection and the one above and below are made as safe as possible.
Thank you, Doctor.
Anyone else?
Hi, I'm Matthew Lyons, 175 Center Street, Quincy, Mass. I'm a candidate for Ward 4 City Council. So I've been knocking on the doors in these neighborhoods. Gone down Penn Street, Water Street, down Granite Street, down the back, and there's multiple concerns from the residents that I've talked to. For the most part, I don't really hear a lot of people that are saying that they're opposed to having recreational marijuana dispensaries around. The problem they have is the zoning boards, not the zoning boards, but the zoning laws, where they have to have 1,500 feet from the school and 500 feet from the recreation. It seems that, and if you look at it, this is the third one going into the city. There's one on Raschuti Drive, West Quincy. There's one on at the base of the Fort River Bridge, which is Quincy Point. This one, which is in South Quincy. There's another one being looked at in Brook Road, which is literally a stone's throw from these gentlemen's where they want to put it in, which is South Quincy. And then another one at Quincy Ave, which is Quincy Point. I think the problem and the perception of a lot of this is that why are they all being dumped West, South Quincy, and Quincy Point? Why don't the good people in Squantum, Marymount, and every other neighborhood have the opportunity to have their weed so they don't have to drive down to Quincy, West Quincy to get it? So the attorney tells us that these stores are nothing more than a liquor store. Well, then these laws should reflect that. And if they are, then the good people of Quincy and all these other neighborhoods can get their weed stores right where they live. And they don't have to come into our neighborhood to get them. Whether it's because of the driving or the traffic or anything else. But it seems to me when I talk to a lot of people in the residents in West and South Quincy, is that they have the feeling that whether it's a overdevelopment or if it's marijuana stores or a lot of other things, they seem to be the dumping ground for this stuff. So I think before any license is given out, these zoning laws for where they're gonna be put, if they're no different than a liquor store, then by all means, they should be allowed in every other neighborhood in the city. And we should spread it out. We shouldn't have them all going in there. If we're looking at 5 dispensaries going into the city, spread them out. There's no reason to have them all in the same neighborhood. I haven't seen the traffic report, but to just summarily dismiss this and say that putting an easement out onto Water Street and it's gonna be no problem seems a little naive to me. I live in the neighborhood. I've been in the neighborhood a lot lately. There's a lot of people on Penn Street. They may not be here tonight, but every single one of them has a problem with that gas station. And I'm not sure, I don't live in Quincy Point, so I don't know what the traffic looks like in the recreational store down there. But I work in the city, and I've worked in the city of Boston for 36 years. There's multiple places around there. There's one on Freeport Street, right near the 103, and that's jam-packed, a lot. There's other ones that are, maybe some of them have better deals than others, and they get better businesses, but you know, we're not getting into the context and nuance of that either.
Right.
So it just seems to me that in Ward 4, people in these neighborhoods are looking at two recreational dispensaries within, I'm not sure the distance, but 159 Brook Road and 15 Liberty Street, if you look at a map, they're right next to each other. There's no need of it. So if you're gonna be fair, the people that wanna put in for an applicant for the Brook Road, they should be able to compete with this gentleman. And that's, you know, again, I don't hear a lot of talk that people are against having recreational dispensaries. There just seems, and it's a new industry. These are things that are gonna be there for a long time. And if they're no different than a liquor store, then treat them like a liquor store. Let them put them in other locations. So, that's just all I'd like to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lyons. Anyone else? Please come up.
My name is Brian Backman. I live at 100 Pleasant Street, right on the corner of Water and Pleasant. To say that traffic is not an issue in that area, I think is a little bit short-sighted. All due respect to the studies that have been done. I have lived at that residence since 2004. A lot of accidents have happened in that area. We've done a lot in the city to help by starting with stop signs and then flashing 5-way stop signs to the light system we have now, which has greatly helped reduce the traffic accidents there. It does cause backups, right, during rush hours, right? We're talking peak hours of business, but also rush hour, right? People going to work and coming from work, and after school as well. I do hear that, you know, we're treating these as they are liquor stores, and I know there's liquor stores in that area, in and around the schools. I'm very active in our community with children. We have a dog park right across the way there. Again, forgive me for my naiveness and negligence not being on top of this until it's gotten to this point, but I really strongly can't believe we've gotten this far at this point, especially in the neighborhood there where we already have a very good neighbor, the current resident on Liberty Street. Very good to everybody in the area, you know, works on your car, doesn't abuse like overcharge. You need to borrow a tool because you're doing something, happy to help out with the, you know, you don't see that anymore, right? We're in a city, right? We're in a city situation, but you still have some of that old school, hey man, I got a flat tire in my driveway, can I borrow your jack for a minute, mentality that you don't get from your big national type businesses, or in this case, like a liquor store, or in this case, a dispensary. And again, as already stated, we have multiple going in to the area in the city already, and we have 2 trying to go in like within a stone's throw of each other, both extremely close to school districts. There's 3 schools in that one vicinity right there. Me personally, as a taxpayer and as somebody that has lived there for a long time, this is not something that I think is good for the city or our neighborhood. Thank you for hearing me out.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Dunn.
Board members, James Dunn, 167 Babcock Street, Quincy. I thank you, what the people fail to understand is that this zoning board takes each application individually. So Brook Road, gonna put in an application, has nothing to do with this gentleman's request. Brook Road will be dealt with by this board members in the professional way you handle yourselves when the time comes. Another thing I'd like to speak of is Mr. Feely. He's in the neighborhood all the time. You'll see him walking his husky. He's been a good neighbor. He has a chance. He has a new tenant gonna propose to come in. It's gonna clean that corner up rather than looking at cars jacked up and cars everywhere. I think it'll be a much better look for the city. And like I said, Mr. Feely has been a great member of the community for a number of years. Feely's baked enamel. As a matter of fact, I did work for him and his brother. I took the gas tanks out of that station probably 25 years ago for his brother. And I just think some consideration should be given to that. It's gonna beautify that, not beautify, we're not talking the Taj Mahal here, but it's gonna clean up that corner and make Quincy more presentable. And I hope I don't offend anybody. There's gonna be change in Quincy. And this board has pretty much always been for good change. There's always gonna be change, and people have to accept it. Quincy stood still for so long, and that's it. There's gonna be change. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Dunn. Anyone else? Second call?
Not say something, but.
You can't, I know you can't. Huh?
This is your topic, John. Okay.
You made it here safe, right?
I'm only rebutting. If no one else had spoke, I would not have spoken. But since other people spoke from listening and speak, my name's John Rutherford. I'm from 62 Grenwell Road. I've had a medical marijuana license for almost 10 years now, 3 different states. I don't consider a marijuana establishment like a liquor store at all. That's an insult, okay? A liquor store is way worse than a marijuana store, okay? So let's get that straight, okay? I don't have any blind spots. I'm not sure what the person was talking about before. When I take my glasses off, I am blind. Okay, I'm glad to. 617-472-4724. Okay. Send me a text.
I want to see this.
Okay, thank you very much.
Federally funded sponsored research.
10 a.m. tomorrow, I will give you a call. If you don't answer, I'll call you back at 4:20.
Just one
It's my turn to testify.
This was funny, go ahead, John.
Marijuana does, affect your memory, so I got to get back on topic here. One thing I want to say is the Quincy police do an excellent job in Quincy, enforcing the marijuana laws, enforcing the driving laws, so we don't have to worry about the Quincy police. One of the reasons all the marijuana places are opening up towards the Braintree-Weymouth lines is because Braintree and Weymouth, they don't sell marijuana in those cities. So the people who are operating these places want the customers from Braintree and Weymouth to come here, just like Mr. Keka wants the people from Braintree and Weymouth to come to Elvis. So when the people from Braintree and Weymouth come here, who gets that 3%? City of Quincy. So that's a positive, okay? They have marijuana in Boston. So the people in Squantum, they could drive to Boston. I would say the people in Squantum probably get it delivered to them, okay? Now, overall, this actually, we're not gonna have many locations, and the mayor has to make a community host agreement. So any other things that anyone was talking about beforehand, until someone has a community host agreement, until they come up here, and as far as my memory goes, we're forgetting about that one. You also gave a permit to a delivery-only place right behind the Prime gas station, so that actually counts, and they haven't had any problems. There haven't been any problems with Mr. Affa down at Quincy Cannabis Company. I actually thought there that, you know, traffic might
talked
be
about
somewhat of an issue,
right.
but it's a good traffic plan, okay? And after reviewing Mr. Gillum's traffic plan, that looks good. So, I mean, they've checked off every box that I want. The operator of this, Mr. Lang, we're lucky that he wants to do business in this city. So, you know, this is a good project. We're not gonna have 100 marijuana establishments in the city. We're probably gonna have 4 or 5, but we're gonna get tax money from all 4 or 5 of them. So, that's all I have to say. I mean, I'm in favor of this, and I think you should approve this. Thank you, John.
There you go. Anyone else, last call? Call that part of the hearing closed. Any new correspondence? No? No new correspondence.
You missed all the books that I had to read last week.
Yeah, I know, I'm so glad.
Yeah, thanks.
I watched you.
Yeah, appreciate it.
No, okay. Now, it's our turn. You just letters? They were already read in.
Can I read these in? Let me see. I don't remember. No, I didn't read these in. I definitely didn't read that book.
That book.
Yeah.
Just give a synopsis
Yeah,
of
I got
each, don't go crazy.
No, I got
Yeah.
Opposition, Tomohore Yasuda, 74 Pleasant Street. I think, did you speak, sir? Yeah. Was that your letter that you also sent in? Did you also send in an email? Yeah. Since you spoke, we'll disregard, but we'll put it in the file. Nishi, is that you? Okay, I'll read yours in because you didn't speak. Writing this letter to express my concerns regarding the granting of a special permit to the proposed recreational marijuana dispensary at 15 Liberty Street. While in favor of the legalization of recreational marijuana, I strongly believe that its distribution should occur within a framework of well-defined rules and regulations, particularly as this marks the initial stages of legal marijuana distribution in the state. A crucial aspect of this process is responsibility demonstrated by those who manage and operate recreational marijuana dispensaries, showing a strong commitment to their surrounding community. An important initial step in showcasing responsibility is adherence to the zoning ordinance. The existence of zoning regulations at the outset serves a purpose and is vital for all stakeholders to respect these rules. In this context, I draw attention to the Smart Park situated across from the proposed dispensary location, a park for which the dispensary seeks exemption from consideration. This space could inadvertently become an attractive spot for impulsive customers to consume marijuana immediately after purchase. With the presence of benches where neighbors rest, I worry this park might turn into an uncomfortable environment due to such activities. The vicinity encompassing both the park and 15 Liberty Street is not prominent thoroughfare or public space, making it conducive for those who prefer discretion, including individuals struggling with addiction, minors, or individuals with a disregard for responsibility. This raises concerns about the primary customer base the dispensary might attract and the potential negative influence it could exert on the surrounding community. Moreover, the presence of nearby bus stops compound my unease. The prospect of encountering irresponsible marijuana consumers while waiting for the bus is disconcerting. Unlike a bustling commercial area, the relative lack of public presence here renders this location less secure and incidents can go unnoticed. This corner also falls along my route to Quincy Adams T. From my residence, walking past this area after dark poses a sense of unease, as the hidden nature of the dispensary might attract certain individuals, further raising safety concerns. Although the dispensary is more than 500 away from both Kincaid and Lincoln Hancock, adjacent to Kincaid Park and Southwest Middle School, opening a recreational marijuana dispensary within easy walking distance of these educational institutions is a decision I question. Placing such a dispensary in the heart of a residential area with many children and adolescents is unsuitable when considering the accessibility of marijuana to minors. Responsible dispensary owners should ideally choose a location distinctly separated from residential areas or bustling commercial zones. My utmost concern lies in the lack of confidence I hold in individuals managing 15 Liberty Street. Their disregard for basic responsibilities such as clearing snow, assaulting the sidewalk during winter, or inconsiderately parking their vehicles reflects a lack of accountability as good neighbors. These behaviors, coupled with their non-compliance with zoning ordinance, raise doubts about the capacity to operate a dispensary responsibly. Parking emerges as another issue as dispensary commence operations, given the presence of BJ's gas stations off Liberty Street. Traffic jams are frequent in the area. The garage, often filled with cars, provides little room for additional parking. The prospect of the dispensary customers parking on Liberty Street or Water Street further exacerbates the situation with limited controls over their actions. I'm convinced that the neighborhood is ill-prepared for a recreational marijuana dispensary. Although the area has undergone positive changes, remnants of challenges remain, such as problematic individuals on Pleasant Street and persistent issues along Water Street. The introduction of a recreational marijuana dispensary at this juncture seems premature, a decision that could adversely affect both the neighborhood and the nascent marijuana industry. Given the uncertainties that may arise over the next few years, I believe it's unnecessary for the neighborhood to bear the brunt of these potential issues. The neighborhood features numerous apartment buildings, and my concern that these establishments might attract tenants inclined towards irresponsible marijuana use to the presence of the dispensary. Alternatively, responsible individuals might shy away from renting in this area given their reservations about the dispensary's influence. Taking into account the aforementioned concerns, I am firmly opposed to the approval of a special permit for the proposed recreational marijuana dispensary at 15 Liberty Street. Thank you. 74 Pleasant Street. I read this one the last time. Thank you for the best letter I've ever written.
And just so the board knows, I have a letter here from traffic engineer Allison Rule, an email came in late today to the board, to our clerk. She's showing it to me now. And she just has some comments she's gonna write in with the plans, and we can put that in, that they can look at, Mr. Conlon can work with her in the traffic study and make sure it's with Mr. Conlon's approval that they get together if there's any changes. And that'll take care of that, her letter. Anything else? That's about it. No, it's us. You know, as I said, as I drove around and looked at, I thought there'd be more people. Maybe at the wrong times, I sit there for an hour, and then I go back another 3 days. And it's not what I thought. Now, when I went up to the medical place, and I watched, it was like 2 to 3 cars constantly. One out, one in. 2 out, 2 come in. 1 in, 1 out. It was just constant. There was always 3 or 4 cars parked up there. It's a very busy place up there. And she got millions of spots to park up there, but, and the Rotary was empty. Sometimes I didn't even know if it was open. I had to look to see if it was open. I thought that place would be really busy too, and it wasn't. So I'm not concerned about really very business. I'm concerned about what's there now that I don't like. Cars all over that place and making that intersection look worse than it is. It's almost like a horror show when you drive around, you're looking at all these cars everywhere. I think it's gonna be good. I do, and I will be voting in favor, because I think it's gonna be a good, it's gonna be a new look. It's gonna be a new building. It's gonna have a nice corner. And you got an in, you got an out, so I'll be voting in favor.
I think, you know, much like we hear reservations about a new large development in an area, I firmly believe that, to Mr. Dunn's point, that the city continues to change and adapt and grow. And I understand Mr. Lyons' point about, you know, kind of feeling saturated in that neighborhood, but unfortunately, we don't dictate who applies to us. Right. We dictate the specific situation. The specific situation that I view as an easy access in terms of not driving through multiple neighborhoods. It's pretty easy on, easy off from Bergen Parkway. It's pretty minimal impact in terms of you know, additional traffic. I think that, you know, we constantly hear about traffic on this board. I will continue to say it. People have a heightened sense of awareness of traffic when they're in it, and they don't when they don't, you know? Yeah. I certainly can appreciate those sentiments. I've pounded my wheel too at 7:30 in the morning. But I've also driven around on Sunday morning at 9 a.m. and there's not a soul driving in the city of Quincy. So, That being said, I'm in favor. I think I think that the owners that we have presented, being both doctors, we're blessed to have people that want to run a business in this city of that caliber, and certainly from a legality standpoint of how the city views it, I'm certain that the ward counselor in that area can work with the neighbors to make sure that the park is continued to be well maintained, and hopefully that the new owners and operators, if so approved, that they work to maintain that park as well, and to make sure that their clientele is not abusing the privileges that we've granted today.
Yep. Mr. Hill, any comments?
Well, yeah, I got a few. I had requested the easement, and that's, one way in, one way out, and having said that, they did comply with that. I don't like the idea. I don't like the idea of capitulating the 1,500 feet down to something very much less. But it is change. Change is what makes a city grow. I like one way in, I like one way out. I would prefer right only. I would prefer that the establishment put notices up saying the park is off limits. The use of our product would be kind of a nice idea. Might be nice if you adopted the park to clean up. But having said that, I will be voting in favor.
In my opinion, the applicant has met the requirements for the relief sought, and I'm voting in favor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I'll be in favor also.
O'Brien? One thing about the lights, the lighting and the thing I was asking.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
We took both those signs. They agreed in the last meeting to take them down to the minimal size.
Okay.
Correct,
Okay, I
right?
just want to make sure we had that right.
Yeah, they
We
were
have those,
oversized.
right?
Yes, Mayor, so.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so we reduced them down to the
And
minimal
that's
size.
what I heard, and I said,
Yeah.
I gotta make sure. 'cause I had a
Yeah, we can
question.
put that in the,
Yeah, we'll put that in the decision. Want to make a
Right.
motion with the decision?
Mr. Chairman, ZBA 2364 Cloud Nine Cannabis LLC for a special permit and variance to open and operate a recreational marijuana dispensary on the premise number 15 Liberty Street, Quincy. I make a motion to grant the special permit and variance with a easement for access and exit only through the neighboring property, as well as reducing the signs to standard minimums, standard maximum allowed within the city. Is that correct?
Yep, and also, Mr. Conlon will go over with the traffic engineer.
And
make
also,
sure her comments are included.
and also the
approved.
traffic engineer's adherence.
Second.
On the motion, seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
Thank you.
Thank you. Further on to tonight's agenda, ZBA 2351, Russell Chin will be leaving. Jeff Frankel will be in. Sorry, Russ, thanks. Thanks, buddy. ZBA 2351, Patrick Foley for variance to raise the roof lines on the existing three-family home, increase the living area on the premises number 16 6th Ave. The applicant or counsel, you have the floor.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the board. My name is Patrick Foley, and I'm here representing 16 6th Ave. We presented about 6 weeks ago, and just to refresh everyone's memory, what we're proposing to do.
Address.
16 6th.
No, your address.
265 Willow Street.
Thank you, Patrick.
Yeah. That's a new one, I had to give that.
We forget who you were and you moved on.
I know, right? It's a tough guy to find. Just to refresh everyone's memory, what we're proposing to do the last time here is currently on the site is a non-conforming three-family. The applicant is seeking to keep it a three-family, and there was concerns. Two of the units are staying roughly the same size, but the third unit's going to be getting bigger. So there was a concern because currently, right now, the parking at the home now is a driveway that has two cars. I know the board was concerned about all the cars on the street. So we went back, we worked with the neighborhood. I know Richard from the Civic Group, we sent him the plans, he was fantastic working with. So we were able to increase the parking to 6 spots, so we're giving 4 new spots. And Austin, can you just show the new parking plan?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so basically, we're gonna be adding, these are the original two spots. We're gonna be grading the road down to the back, around 10% grade per coat. And we're gonna add an additional 5 spots and maintain this one. So we're gonna be adding this.
Plan for asphalt or impervious?
We're planning on the asphalt. Yeah.
Asphalt?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we gotta do something about that. That's a lot, I mean, you're paving that whole 3/4 of the yard.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have to figure out something better than that, or I wouldn't be in favor at all. I mean, you need your road down there.
Yeah.
When you get down there, you gotta figure out something about,
I mean,
you're down so low, it's,
Yeah.
where's the water going?
Yeah, I got you.
It's gonna sit there? It's right.
Can we do some impervious? Or even a drainage?
Well, even if, no, I mean, he's gotta bring his road down, that's a big grade. He's gotta get
It's only
down.
going
He's
down
probably-
10%.
He's probably gotta come down to here somewhere, from the house back, that whole area there.
Yeah.
He's gotta put something in there, I don't know.
Yeah,
Something that
was
goes
a
through.
5 cars across.
Yeah, that's kind of what
Yeah.
that's what he just
Here's
wrote
what
on
he's
that.
saying, somewhere
Basically-
like that.
Basically from where his middle line is there, you see? Like kind of from the end of the house, roughly? Does it flatten out basically by the
Yeah.
end of the house based on your
Yes.
plans?
Yeah.
Yeah, so something around there, like making that impervious from
Yeah,
back.
you gotta build the road down right, but when you get down that back area, down low like that, you gotta put something back there that's gonna drain water. I mean, he's filling half his yard, you know? What can you come up with there, Counselor,
Something impervious.
Sure.
that we can all talk about?
Yeah.
Gravel? Gravel?
Gravel, whatever, yeah. something
Whatever you
impervious.
gotta do,
Yeah.
that'll sit there and work with the
I
city.
know gravel might be a challenge with plowing back there, so, you know, whatever you can come up with that's creative to find something, you know, that'll just help drain that area, you know, because you did a good job getting the cars off the street
Yeah.
and still with the ability to turn, like even that second car can still turn around, you know?
Right.
So I appreciate that.
Sure. Yeah, we'll have to work with the zoning board to, you know, make it work.
Any ideas, Mr. Klein?
Pervious pavers?
Yep.
Impervious pavers, even pavers would be fine, you know?
Put it in gravel.
Yeah, better than gravel with plowing.
So pavers?
It doesn't snow here anymore anyway, so we just get torrential
So
down.
pavers?
Yeah.
Pervious pavers.
Impervious pavers would be good.
If you can make it somewhere like the house back.
So somewhere around the end of the house
Yeah.
and back, where you start to flatten out there, you know?
No problem.
Okay. So Mr. Collinson, he'd take care of anything, you know.
Yeah, where it
like the
flattens out
house.
right
Yeah,
there.
once
Yeah.
it flattens out,
Yeah.
he'll make sure that whole
Okay.
area down there is
Okay.
done. So now everyone in the audience knows that we're talking about not paving the whole backyard, just the road going down.
Anything else?
Any
You
other
have anything
questions?
else?
Anything else? That's it?
Cool, thanks.
All right, is there anyone here, now that we know that that road's just gonna be built going down, then they're gonna put all impervious so the water can flow through down there, and it's not gonna just be sitting in a pool of tar. Does anyone wanna speak in favor of this? First call, second call? Third call closed. Correspondence, nothing new? No. All right, call that part of the hearing closed. Anyone opposed or undecided? Please step forward, name and address for the record, please.
Joe Brandy, 14 Sixth Ave.
Go ahead.
I was really hoping that they could have put more parking, because from experience, I have an apartment building across the street, and there's 9 spots there, and there's 18 cars. And I can see a similar situation here, him having 6 spaces, and there being 10 cars associated with that building. So, from experience, I really would like to try to squeeze a couple more parking spots down.
There's one more that he has there and the other one, which
Yes, I saw that 5
I don't like that at all. But there's,
I mean, there's really no, like, I guess you
They
could come
can
over
turn
here
around.
further, like you could go here,
yeah, I mean, you could. I mean,
but I
you
don't,
could bring this back a little.
You might pick up one.
You could pick up maybe 1 or 2.
One would be better than,
Yeah. And I mean, we could move half a length down if you wanted to do something like that.
Oh, you got your lot line here.
Yeah.
right? So go all the way.
Up here.
What's
Yeah,
this? What's
it's a
in
lot
here?
line. That's just.
Does it drop off
that's-
even
No, it's
further?
just giving you a measurement over.
Yeah, I know, but does it drop off even further or something there?
I know, I looked down there, but it's a big hole, it's a big long way.
Yeah, I know, I'm trying to
I can't
aesthetically think
remember
of
the
it.
last time I was there, I remember that we had to do something to get cars down there somehow. It was gonna stink, but,
I mean, it's well over the parking requirement.
oh, it
we
is,
have, so.
but we can
I mean,
also
we
get
require
one more.
4, right? 4 and
I
4.6.
thought 7 was the
4.5.
requirement.
4.5 would be, right, 1.5.
According to the documents I'm looking at, it's 7.
He's gonna have 6 in here now. We
Yeah,
could
yes,
probably
but
get
it-
7, we could probably get the
What's-
7th one in,
What's a Res B?
right here, yeah,
Are you require 2 per?
yeah,
2 per bedroom?
no, 2 per unit.
Yeah, so he's at a +1 guest space, is that what you're
Yeah.
saying? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
I
just
have
an extra
document
space.
here that
He-
says
I
it's
know what he
7.
wants, and I wouldn't mind that myself, to get 6 back there, right? And, yeah. So, thank you. We'll talk to the client.
Okay, I have some other questions.
Okay, go ahead.
It wasn't, one question was about the drain, it just seems you're concerned about that, so that's been asked. Are these spaces going to be assigned or are they open?
I don't know, they got enough so they can assign them, but that's up to the owner, he can do what he wants, he's got plenty, he'll have enough parking spaces. I'll ask him.
All right, but the form that I downloaded from the site.
It is, he just, the commissioner just confirmed that it is, it's, so I was confused with Res B in a dwelling, it's 2 per +1 guest. So if there is a parking variance, they'd be required if they're only asking for 6. So you're.
He's gonna get a 7 spot.
So we're gonna figure out how to get a 7.
Okay.
Thank you. That was my, we see a lot of different stuff, it was just me confusing where.
Okay, that's fine. I also noticed in this document that the property is listed as being in West Quincy. Don't know how that happens, but.
I got it there, thanks, sir. Is there anyone else? Opposed or undecided? Second call? Third call?
Could we do
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I'm just fucking up. like-
No, we can move that.
Like a kiddie pool?
You can do a half and a half. You can just move a
Come
half
over
and a
here.
half. No, you can move a half and a half.
Members of the board, Anthony Andronico, 24 Nickel Street, and Ward 2 Counselor. About a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, I had the opportunity to join Joe and just take a quick look at the site over there. I just wanted to reiterate how the parking situation is on 6th Ave. It was mentioned the apartment building across the street, it's like parking wars every single night on that street. You got visitors, you got people who have more cars than they're allotted through
Right.
assigned parking
Right.
on that street.
Kids,
From recollection, directly in front of the property, there's a fire hydrant. So even, that potential overnight parking or, have someone pull up and park in front of your house is not really available at this particular site. When you're looking at the house on the left-hand side, I believe there's a utility pole there, and they're looking to squeeze in, 1 parking space over there. It's awfully tight. The property lines between the neighbors there sort of comes in on itself, so the further you pull your car in, the less space you're gonna get to put a vehicle there. Just really want to reiterate for this one in particular, how important the parking regulations are. So I appreciate the consideration to add another space,
Yeah.
and that you're already on top of the drainage issue that would be caused in the back from adding more parking. But that's just the only consideration that I have. I appreciate you taking the time tonight, and just want to keep that in mind moving forward.
Thanks, Councilman,
Thank
thanks
you.
for hanging in.
Of course, thank you.
Appreciate it. Anyone else? Last call? Call up out of here and close, fully. If you talk with your client, you can, here's what we're trying to get as a board. trying to get a half space here and a half space here, so we're gonna move them all down, so it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4. All
Can you pull that off?
You can pull it off.
I think you pull that off.
Yeah, you can pull it off with a set of all pavement down there too.
At least when there's a snowstorm, people will pop.
So, we're gonna have four spaces, so everyone knows, we're gonna have 4 spaces on this side, 2 there, and then 1 car up here. So they're gonna make 6 down below instead of 5, okay? Any other questions on that? No? Thank you. All right, if they do that imperviously, you get a flow through water, I'm happy, and just the road, of course, the road's gonna be good.
Yeah, I think this
Davis
is,
wouldn't last in the area going down that way, and it doesn't work, so.
I think the situation is exacerbly better
Oh, yeah.
than what's existing today.
Right.
And I understand the concerns about parking completely. I understand the council's concerns as well, you know, about the street and the access on the street. I just think that, you know, this situation, even with 6 would be so much better. So I'll be in favor with adding the 7th spot.
Yeah, I'll be in favor with 7 spots. That's a tight neighborhood.
It is.
Same, I agree.
Yeah, agree.
Have a motion, please.
Mr. Chairman, in ZBA 2351, Patrick Foley for a variance to raise the roof lines of the existing family home to increase the living area on the premise 16 6th Avenue, Quincy. I make a motion to grant the variance with impervious pavers in the pervious, not impervious, pervious. Yeah, impervious wouldn't work. Pervious pavers in the back to help with runoff, as well as adding a 7th parking spot.
Second.
Right? Did you say second?
Yeah.
No, I thought you said 6. I didn't hear him. I'm getting old, shit, 70 the other day, God.
Well, yeah, happy birthday, old man.
I know, crazy. Been here 20 years, maybe 19 too long, I don't know. That's what they say.
Probably 20, but.
They say 19 too long. On the motion, seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Thank you.
I thought you were 52.
Thank you, guys.
That's what I tell everybody. On the new business, ZBA 2359, JCBT Architect LLC for variance to construct a 3-story, 2-unit townhouse style dwelling on the premises number 0 South Street. The applicant and their representative here.
Yes.
Here they are.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Jim Chen, 585 Washington Street, Quincy. So the subject property, 211 South Street, it's a vacant land. It's currently about 6,139 square feet, also known as 0 South Street, located in Res B zoning district. So what we're proposing is a new 3-story, 2-family townhouse style with 3-bedroom plus 2.5 bathrooms with 2 garage parking per units. The proposed area of the entire structure is about 5,600, including the garage, in which 3,800 square feet of living is proposed for the 2 units. Each unit will have about 1,900 of living space with 3 bed, 2.5 bath. So this vacant property is not really a typical flat land, level land. It has an elevation change more than 7 to 8 feet from the street to the midsection of the lot. Also, its irregular shape of the lot makes it very difficult to conform with the 2 sides setback to have a decent overall width of the structure. Also, a professional visual inspection of the site indicates that it's a huge bedrock and ledge located in the front section and midsection of the site. And there are topographical, soil condition, and irregular lot shape hardship that are present in this site and can become quite challenging. The property is surrounded by a larger row house, townhouse style units to the right, a mixture of singles and multi-family units in the immediate proximity, ranging from 2 to 3 stories in height. And we're seeking variance for dimensional requirements for the minimum lot size, lot width, and frontage, to side yard setback, rear yard setback, and the number of parking, and the maximum floor area ratio.
You didn't, there's none left. There's nothing else to ask for.
It's a hard site.
Yeah, I guess it is. Question on the existing conditions. It says 6139 and then requested 64. Is that because of the shortening of the street, you're saying?
Excuse me.
What? Where are you gaining this 300 feet? It says existing, nothing's being done, but you're changing it to 6478.
It's a vacant lot, so there's nothing existing.
No, I know, but you got 6139, you got a number in there. In your dimensions. And then you change it to 6478. What's the real number?
That is incorrect.
It's kind of bizarre.
Oh, I'm sorry about
And
that.
then when I looked through things, I
6139.
saw that in 1920 something, 1940 something, they changed the road and you lost some frontage, and I'm wondering if that's why they're claiming that, because the city took some of your.
I'm not sure how that happened, but.
No.
Survey shows
6139.
39.
Right, and then it says existing conditions, right?
Yeah, that's wrong.
6478.
That's wrong.
That's wrong.
That-
Okay,
that
so
is
now
incorrect.
one of them is wrong, that's what I figured. That's why I wanted.
6139 is it.
All right, but then when you get down the minimum area per dwelling unit, that's wrong too now. Because it says 3239, which is half of the other, 6478. So what's right here? What numbers are right?
Jeez,
See
sorry
what
about
I'm
that.
saying?
Yes.
Everything's going off this request. Where'd that number come from? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
The correct number is 6139, and the minimum lot area per dwelling should be based off of 6139.
All right, so it says .86, that's on 6478, so what's the real number? Is it 9? Someone could calculate that out quick. You did this in 2 minutes for me. So if this file rating, 86, is from the requested conditions of 64, now we're down 340 feet, 330, or 130, no, 339 feet. That's the number. That wouldn't be that, it would be more, it'd be like maybe 9, correct? So it is like a .9 maybe, correct?
Yeah.
You're fine, not the .86, I mean, if we're gonna put numbers in here, let's make them right.
Sorry about that.
You wanna figure that out for me? You don't just put a number here, .9.
yeah. You want me to correct it?
Well, yeah, I'd like to know, we all should know what we got for a fire rating on the property.
So the, it'll be 0.91.
9.91, I was close. 0.91, all right. You got that, guys?
Yeah.
All right. So these other numbers, they're not, minimum lot area, that should be, whatever, 30, 80, 30, 3080 or something. All those numbers are wrong, going all the way down. All right, we'll fix them. But the fives are what I was, we're going from.
The five matters.
Yeah, it's from .4 to 9, so it's more than double, but, all right. I mean, go ahead, you can continue now. Now they interrupted you.
I'm finished.
Wrecked your train of thought. I know what you're asking for is a lot, and I know the site's not good, but to me, it's just, I can't do that. I just can't build something that's over twice what the father, so I think we come up with something better than that. But that's just me, so I'll just be a no vote and figure it out here. Move down. Do you have any questions?
No questions.
No questions. Not at this time.
Let the public speak. Thank you.
Thank you.
Does anyone want to speak in favor of this application? First call? I don't know.
Just for the record, my name is Venkat, living in 199 South Street, close proximity.
199 what?
South Street,
Okay,
close proximity to the Zeros
yeah.
Street, and I just, this is my first meet here, coming into this hall, and I appreciate you guys.
Little humor
Very well.
once in a while. You get a little
No, this is
humor
my
here,
first
a little
visit.
bit.
Though I live in this 199 South Street for more than close to 18 years now.
Yeah.
And the property is, we never knew there is going to be some owner coming out and building a property and so on. So we got a letter from Anthony, the ward councillor. Thank you for sending the letter. I'm here representing for all the 4 units. I live in one of the units in the 4-unit condo, 199 South Street. So I appreciate a new building is coming up, and we just wanted to have a little concern about the construction timing, when it's going to begin, or the noise and the traffic controls and the basic things, when it's all going to be, are they going to be sharing with us so that?
That'll all be shared with you, but it's not been approved yet, so. we
Oh,
don't
it's not
know.
approved, okay,
But
okay.
when that's approved, they'll have a.
So they have to
construction
adhere to the
schedule.
timelines that the city provides. I think it's what, 7 to
12 months.
7 to 5,
Another 75.
Monday through Saturday.
So we gotta start one in 12 months?
Yeah.
So my little concern is about a couple of trees around that area. We just want to make sure that our borders are covered, secured, and so on.
If they're taken care of?
They're taken care of it.
All right,
Now, how many units are actually, it's a 2 units?
2 units.
2 units there. 2 owners? Or 2 units, like, I don't know, is it,
2 units, could be, these are condos?
these are condos, right?
Yeah,
Is it 2? Okay.
2 owners.
Okay. That's all I wanted.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Is there anyone else want to speak in favor? Second call, third call, all part of hearing closed, anything in the correspondence? DPW, I got a letter right here.
We reviewed the submittal for the above referenced project, and our comments are as follow. 1, specify how much impervious area will be increased due to the development. 2, provide plans showing the existing site conditions, layout of utility grading, drainage, and the construction details. 3, explain how the surface runoff will be discharged and treated. 4, provide dimensions and grades for the paving area and all driveway entrances. 5, explain how to remove the huge bedrocks and ledges on the site for construction. Will there be any blasting used? 6, upon completion of the project, after the plan showing all utilities and building footprints need to be submitted along with a digital file.
Call it part of hearing closed. Is there anyone opposed or undecided? First call? Second call, third call closed. I don't know, guys, but I can't.
Can I ask a question?
You can ask anything you want.
Jim, is this a new purchase of the lot?
Yes.
Okay, and was it always an existing self-standing lot, or was this subdivided at some point? Did you do any,
No, so it was always an existing self-standing one.
Okay, so it's just sat there as a vacant lot for however long it's been? Okay.
So I just want to add something to about the FAR. The FAR includes the first floor parking space, garage. If it was just the living space, it would calculate out to be about 0.62.
I know, but you're all around. I mean, you need a side setback, front relief, side relief, rear relief. It's just like, shrink it down for me. I know it's small, that's the lot you want to buy. Build something that can go there. Maybe build a nice big house for somebody. I just don't think, not what I'm looking for. I just think it's asked for way too much. And I think we're getting just too crowded in Quincy as it is, and now we're putting in stuff like this. I should stop myself.
You do it?
I will. Really, when do we stop? You know, it's like overcrowding, and then we're jamming in these things. It's not necessary.
So-
That's not necessary for Quincy. To me,
I get it.
as the chairman of the zone.
I get it, and not to disagree, I just don't know how much, like, I don't think a single family's gonna have the same FAR on that lot. you know, somebody's gonna build a monstrous single family, I think we're strapped for units, and, I think, look, I get it's big, I get it's taking up the whole lot,
Strapped for units, where are we strapped for units?
I get it, you know, strapped for units, that people need housing.
They need housing, but do we jam in places like this? And just jam in a place? To me, it's like, let's do a little smarter building. Let's look at, maybe at the end of that road, a nice house would go there. Someone makes a few bucks, builds a house. You don't have to make $1 million on every project. And to me, you know, you're giving away the house for that. It's just, to me, it's too much. That's just me. It's just me. It's just like, when I see it crowding, it's like.
Expressing a difference of opinion.
I know that, but we could put something there that'll look nice in neighborhood too, and not just jammed in there and then take up all the land. I know,
You know, 2,900 square foot units there is just too much.
it is. Like, you could shrink that down to like nice small little, get a 2-bedroom out, I don't care. If you can't build it for that, don't build it. Next.
I agree. And bring the setbacks into compliance and see if they are built, it's just too much. It's too big.
Yeah, I'm with you.
All right,
Should we go back to the drawing board? Or do you
is there
want us to
anything
take a
else you
vote?
can build there, and you wanna put this off for a month, or what do you wanna do?
Try and shrink the units down a little?
Make them down a lot?
At least 500 square feet, sounds like.
All right, we'll come back with a revised.
Yeah.
Another month, 6 weeks?
What do you need, month?
All right, what do you got for October 24th? There you go.
10/24? Thanks, Jim.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
October 24th. I make a motion, please.
Mr. Chairman, ZBA 2359, JCVT Architect LLC for a variance to construct a 3-story, 2-unit townhouse-style dwelling on the premise number 0 South Street, Quincy. I make a motion to move that to October 24th.
Second.
On the motion, seeing none, all in favor?
Right?
Opposed? So moved. Yeah, I know. Further on new business, case number ZBA 2367, Jeffrey Dunn for variance, special permit, floodplain and finding to demolish the existing home and construct a new flood compliant, single-family dwelling, number 7 Shoreside Road. Mr. LaRoche, you're up.
You?
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Brian LaRoche, 67 Mears Ave. I'm going to be representing the applicant, Jeffrey Dunn, on this project at 7 Shoreside. The house, a single-family house that we're proposing for this site would replace an existing home that was flooded in the 2018 storm. So this is an area that is subject to flooding. It's in a floodplain overlay district, so we'll be requesting a special permit for this project. So what we would like to do here is, get rid of this structure, use the voluntary demolition clause in the zoning, build off of the same footprint along the right edge of the property here. The house as it exists right now is very close to Shoreside, so here's Shoreside. C Street runs along here and Post Island is here. There is one other property adjacent. So in order to align with some of the other houses on Shoreside, we would like to pull it back. I think that would be appropriate. So I've outlined in blue here the footprint of the existing dwelling, and then you can see in gray is the proposed dwelling. It's relatively flat site, does sort of pitch inward to an area in the back here. So all the drainage on this property would actually stay on site. It collects in the rear here. We're asking for a few things on top of the special permit. As I mentioned, the finding for voluntary demolition, which is section 3.47 of the zoning ordinance. We're also asking for finding on the vertical and horizontal extension of a non-conforming use, which is section 3.45. We're also looking to confirm through a finding that the lot coverage for an expansion within a flood zone not exceed 25%. We have a lot that's 5,886 square feet. 25% of that would be 1492. Our footprint of the building is 1192, so we would not be exceeding that. So we just wanted to make sure that we read that into the record.
Yep.
So we do have a few variances as well, a number of stories, and really it's because we're in the floodplain. In order to elevate, we have at the lowest level here, you can see this blue line, that's the design flood elevation. So half of the lower level is in floodplain. So in order to take advantage of, you're already moving it up that high, we wanted to use that lower level for parking and for storage. And so we do have at the front, we have double garage door, the entry in. At the rear, we also have a garage door. That's nothing more than allow for the free flow of water, which we know during the storms will happen. And then, you know, if they're gonna have a gathering out back, whatever, they have the door open and then they can sort of set up some things inside. It's nothing more for convenience.
Right.
There's no cars or vehicles being parked at the rear. And then the other variance that we're looking for is height. And the upper level of this,
That's what we want to talk about.
yeah, and
Upper.
for sure, understood. And so what we have here in this design is a widow's walk to take advantage of some of the views towards the city. Straight off the front of the house, looking towards the north, is the Boston skyline. So the widow's walk would allow that. And so the widow's walk, which is really an appurtenance on the roof, is what's driving that height. We're measuring to, actually, I'm sorry, I stand corrected. We're measuring to the peak. We're not measuring to the widow's walk, which is about a foot higher than the peak. What we had in the design is that the area of the widow's walk underneath is a loft space. We've kept it to just under 200 square feet. It is nothing more for coming up and then passing along and then going up a ship's ladder to the roof.
Right.
We have an area for mechanical, and we have a little bit of attic storage space. So there's no windows, no dormers, no nothing other than, you know, it's the widow's stuff on the walk coming up.
Now, that house is looking at the new house almost that we just built, the
Yeah,
carriage house.
810
Right.
Shoreside, correct?
You have to get almost over that carriage house to see,
Yep,
correct?
yeah.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Because I was
And-
looking at it and I'm saying, I understand now the widow's walk, why he really wants that.
Yeah.
'Cause you're gonna miss half the ocean on that side.
Correct, yeah, so you do get above 8 to 10 shoreside with the widow's walk.
It's like a multi, right? Or like this is
No,
the
it's
second
the-
unit or
No,
whatever.
no, it's the guy that,
Yeah,
the guy that
rewind,
built the
yeah,
same
yeah,
house.
yeah,
He
yeah,
built
it's
the
the
same
second-
house.
it's the second house,
And then
yeah.
he's got the second house in
Yeah,
the
yeah,
back,
yeah,
yeah, which is really, you come on, nice, matter of fact, he did.
And so,
Roche designed that.
so the three variances, one is the number of stories.
Yeah.
It's 4 because of the loft space counts as a story.
Right,
If we had framed the upper level attic to have everything come to a common ridge beam, it would not have counted. But because we're intercepting the framing
Correct.
and we're able to sort of walk at full height here, it does count as a story. So, you know, so that
It's quasi.
yeah.
it is a story by definition. But it really is not functional
It's not a
for
functional
anything
story,
other than
right.
passing through to be able to get to the upper level.
Was there any, with the mechanicals up there, that's where they're all on, right? Because you have to be off the base level, right?
Yeah, well, we have a mechanical room on the first floor, which covers your air handler for the first,
Yeah.
and then we have the air handler for the upper level is in that little mechanical room up there.
Right.
So we do have a utility space here, which is where we have the boiler.
And by first floor, you mean above?
Second floor,
your
yeah.
second
The main living
Yeah.
level, not the ground
No, no,
floor.
right.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Sure. And then the last variance, which I haven't mentioned yet, is the paving of the yards. There's a requirement that we cannot exceed 30%. But when you count This is the shoreside frontage, but when you look at the entire property and come all the way around and count this frontage, we don't exceed the 30% threshold. But we would along shoreside.
But you're just doing the front on shore side,
We're
correct?
only doing
That.
a driveway along here and then a little bit here, so we can have a car on this side.
Right.
And then we can sort of pull off the road here. So, the width of the driveway at the front also does exceed that requirement of 20
Is that for
feet.
the antique cars?
You know. No, it's not.
Huh?
So the width of driveway, which is section 5.14, is also another variance we're looking for. And that is,
I get what the whole thing is down there, and I'll tell you, it's a weird property anyway, to where that little house is right there, all by that little lonesome there. You think they would've cut that yard out, you know what I mean? Like that guy would've had a piece of property on that side.
That's how you guys did things back then.
Exactly.
You guys just drew
Just
arbitrary
drew
lines.
Arbitrary lines, and that house was never there, and then they built that house for a cottage, and then it became a house.
Was that before your
That
70th
was-
birthday?
That
or-
was like about when I was 94, we did that.
so the total square footage of the house, if you include the loft, would be 2,591. If you don't include it, it's 2,392. So still a pretty modest home. It's 3 bedrooms, 2.5 baths.
Appreciate it.
It's a beautiful design, I really like it. I love the walk thing, like,
John's, the house in Allerton was the other house that I did the widow's walk. Have you gotten
Yeah.
to see that?
and when the house in front of me goes up, I might be looking for an architect to do something for Widow's Walk. All right, buddy.
Like,
No.
how old will you be then? Will you be able to get up there?
Gotta have an elevator, come on.
Stair lift.
An elevator. What do you, I'm here to ride my motorcycle up. Thank you, Brian. Any
Sure.
questions?
The only other one I had, so basically, if we looked at this without the widow's walk, just hypothetically, there's no difference in what the roof height would be. It would be in terms of what what we would call another story. Is
If the widow's walk wasn't there, it would be an attic.
Yeah,
And there would be no, it would not be a story.
But because we have to create the access, that's what creates what we're calling a third story, basically.
And we interrupted the ridge line too. so-
Right.
Right.
Yeah, that,
And that's what's doing it.
No, we often get, beat up about,
Yeah.
we talk about this third story a lot, and I just want to clarify.
The
like,
first
it's not-
story is-
In
It's
this
still
case,
not
it's
really a
actually-
livable area, which is,
No.
we're not creating an additional story, we're
Right.
just creating
The
access.
Access.
It's actually,
Yeah.
by definition, 4 stories. The ground level
Ground
counts.
level, yeah, but I mean, we took that, like, I take that away when I have a floodplain, because I deal with flood insurance every day in my life, and to get out of the floodplain is more important than anything else, you know what I mean? And to have the pass-through the way you do, that's more important for the environment, like, we want to talk about it from an environmental impact. That's negligible at that point, because you have the pass-through for the water to come through.
We still have the flood vents,
Yeah.
which are in the foundation, so it equalizes. So,
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Does anyone want to speak in favor? First call, second call, third call. I'll let power close. Correspondence, council, 1 sec. I have here, we've reviewed the above reference submittal, have no comments.
Good evening, Dave McCarthy, 48 Whitney Road.
Counselor, how are you?
Board of Counselor.
Always a pleasure to see you.
How was that primary today?
What was wrong?
It would have been, I said, how was that primary today?
Quiet. But here to support the Duns. They've been in the area for decades. It's nice to see Jeffrey wanting to stick around, and it's nice that that area, which took a pounding, as we all know, in 2018, is getting some nice work. And Mr. LaRoche is, always does nice work in that area. He's done a lot of work in Post Town. I think you'll get a few more onshore side that are gonna fall into play here, but I'm in full support. It'll be, it's a beautiful neighborhood as they slowly fix up some of these, as you said, Mr. Chairman, little cottages that have been little cottages forever that now are gonna be homes. So, thank you very much.
Thank you, council. We just approved one in front of him too on the other side of that the other lot that we built over there too, the double. I have one here, it says, this is Matthew Freed, 651 C Street, number 2. I received a letter today about the case, but will not be able to attend the meeting about 7 Shoreside. As an abutter, I have no concerns with these plans to replace the single-family home, living with a new single-family home. Cheers. Oh, he's in favor. Is there anyone opposed or undecided? First call, second call, third call closed. I mean, I know it's the wording of fourth story that blows everyone's mind, but we see why. And if we explain why to people, it's not a fourth story, it's just a walkthrough to get to the widow's walk. I'll be voting in favor.
And again, this is why we exist, you know? Like, to look at individual impacts and to understand them, and so I'll be in favor.
In favor, great looking design, love it. In favor.
Pretty house.
Have a motion, please.
In favor.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion, ZBA 2367, I make a motion Jeffrey Dunn for a variance, special permit floodplain and finding to demolish the existing home, construct a new flood-compliant single-family dwelling on the premise numbered 7 Shoreside Road, Quincy. Make a motion to grant the variance, special permit, floodplain, and finding.
Second.
On the motion, seeing none, let me think about this one. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? So moved.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Very much. Thank you, guys. Yeah.
Thank you, board members.
One more case, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Dunn. Have a nice, Jeffrey, congratulations. Enjoy your property. STR 235. Help me with this name. Agnieszka. Daisy?
Yes.
For a special permit to operate a short-term rental business on the premises number 138 Elm Street. How are you?
I'm good. So I'm on behalf of Agnieszka. She submitted this application at the end of July, and she was in communication with the clerk.
Name and address, could I have your name and address?
Manuela Misiak, 27 Dexter Street.
Okay.
Thank you.
So you do not own Elm Street?
No,
She's on behalf.
but because the owner was in communication with the clerk not to reschedule that, assign someone to show up just to present the case, and I just would like to, so she applied for this short-term permit, short-term rental permit, July 28. And to this case, this is the property has 2 driveways, and one is very wide to park a few cars. So if necessary, short-term renters, there is park spaces available, which is important.
She's looking to rent 1 bedroom?
Yes. So it's her apartment when she's not in the...
She has a 1-bedroom apartment?
No, she's 2-bedroom, but just 1 bedroom for the short-term rentals purpose. But you know, eventually, if some person will come by car, that there is a parking available, and what else? There is also information in terms of the building. There are motion sensor lights installed and motion detector cameras all around the building, 4 of them.
She filled out all the paperwork, but I read something about the husband is on the deed and he's dead.
The husband died.
And she didn't have that changed yet.
So you wouldn't.
Joint tenants.
Joint tenants, you wouldn't need to.
Oh, why?
The legal aspect of the deed.
No, I'm just wondering why they wouldn't.
Very
If they're
interesting.
joint tenants,
My mother's,
then
my
all you have
father's
to do
been
is
dead
record
for
the
30
death
years,
certificate.
he's still on my mother's deed.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, just recording the death certificate would satisfy it.
Yeah, would satisfy.
If it's joint tenants with right of survivorship,
Right.
I'm assuming it is.
I just wondering why she
14
wouldn't do
by-
that. I don't know. Yeah.
$175 filing fee?
Maybe, yeah, that takes away.
109.75 for the difference.
$175. Well, all right. Any questions?
So, Are you the owner?
No,
she's-
I'm not the owner. I'm Karolina Marek, 6 St. Margaret Street, Boston, Massachusetts. I am Agnieszka's friend for a long time, and I support her application. I run short-term rentals at my house for a long time, and I am super host since 2018, and I will help her if there's anything she needs, and she has a good maintenance service. I can help her with the cleaning service, so everything will be 5-star.
So you're the friend from Boston?
Yes, I am friend from
No,
Boston,
no,
and
thank you.
So she owns the house.
she owns the house.
It's a multifamily, correct? Or is it?
Two-family.
It's
Yeah,
a two-family.
two-family.
They
Yes.
rent the other unit,
Yeah.
correct?
Yes, her apartment, she locked her bedroom, and the other bedroom she can rent it.
Yeah, so, but the other unit is rented
Yes.
to a laundry.
Like a regular
Okay.
lease.
Regular rent. Okay. And they utilize parking?
Yes.
Okay.
There's 2 driveways, so there's an extra space.
Yeah, no,
And one of them don't have a car.
I understand. Has she used the property as a short-term rental currently?
Not
No.
yet,
Okay.
not yet.
Okay, so
why
it's like a-
that's gonna be her extra income.
Yeah, yeah, no, no.
First application. For some
And
traveling.
I've seen under this here, not to even, the way her electric bill, she gets a break on because of circumstances. So I can see money's tight for her right now.
Yes.
And that's
Absolutely.
what this is all about.
But she is very responsible person, she's
Yeah.
a good person,
No,
and
no,
she's
no.
taking,
Extra income.
she's taking care of the house very well, and I will help her.
And where does she go visit all the time? Where about?
She's coming for whole summer, usually sometimes she was actually back in February.
So she
she's
leaves like
traveling.
6 months a year?
No. No, that's,
She basically have the parents that she was old age. No, I mean not very old, but I mean so sometimes she just need to be away, and that's why she saw the opportunity in terms to
get
not
some
to keep because she doesn't have the intention to rent entire apartment, which she
No,
usually
but I'm saying that
uses.
she's not gonna be here for 6 months at a time. Who's gonna do her rentals for her?
I mean, obvious as a host, she have to access the application, so she's using the communication.
No, I know Rob will take care of that.
So,
Mr. Conlon does a
so
great
this
job
is
making sure all
everything-
that stuff's done right. I
So
ain't
this
worried
is
about that.
online, and
I was
I
just-
will be
I was just
co-host.
wondering what she was
No, no, that's
thinking,
okay.
that's all.
So absolutely, she's in
No, that's,
charge.
that's fine.
You can have a
You
seat.
can have a seat. Is there anyone want to speak in favor? First call, second call, third call. I got a letter here, I'll close that part of the hearing. I got a letter here from DPW. We reviewed the above referenced project and have no comments. Is there anyone opposed or undecided? Please step forward, state your name and address for the record, please.
Hi, Mark Kennedy,
Wait a
21
minute,
Baxter Street.
wait, 1 minute, go ahead.
Yep, Mark Kennedy, 21 Baxter Street.
Okay.
So our concern is that it's gonna be a multi-rental. At 141 Elm Street, all of a sudden, it was a two-family, now it's a rooming house, okay, which we were never notified of.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden, we get cars from New York, New Jersey, parked all over the place, Ohio, every week it's somebody new. So we were just concerned that this might happen again. Because we also have the 2 rooming houses on Elm Street, then it's their property, then the next to that is, I believe, the courthouse has a property that they do, and we listen to them constantly out there playing cornhole all summer long, you hear the kids. So that's what was our concern.
Right.
Did you let anybody know about the potential that it might be a rooming house?
Did I let?
Have you called
the
anybody in
city?
the city and inspectional services or the council or anybody?
I've spoken to the council.
Okay.
Yes.
We'll relay the message as well, I'm sure Bob
Yes.
can check it out. So what property is that?
That was 141 Elm Street,
141.
and it happened last year. All of a
Yeah.
sudden, it just, the guy was renovating it, and then all of a sudden, he's gone, and now it's,
So the good news is about any Airbnb use or short-term rental is, I think the city's done a decent job in trying to figure out how we can regulate these and like actually regulate
And
these.
find them if they're
Instead-
not stopped.
Instead of just, letting people kind of run rampant like they seem like they are there.
Right.
So that's part of this process, so it's
Right.
nice that somebody actually did this up front, which I will say, because we have a lot of
Yes.
people that we catch them, and then we have to have them come.
So we didn't know what the intent was.
Yeah.
When she's saying it's a one bedroom, one apartment.
Well,
Well,
in one
here's-
apartment, they have 2 bedrooms, who's
Right.
gonna rent
And
one of
we
them?
require them to be kind of on premise too.
Yes.
So like the only ones we're allowing typically would be like if she wanted to just live in one unit and
Yes.
do short-term rental for the full other unit, we'd allow
Yeah.
that. And same thing with this, like it has to continue to be owner
Yes.
occupied, so it can be well
I
maintained. So I'm
mean,
not.
Baxter Street was mostly like that, all side by sides, and it was all families.
No, so and I don't know, I'm not trying to tell you something
Yeah.
you may or may not know, I just
Yeah.
wanted to like put your mind at
Yes.
ease about, specifically
Sure.
their application.
Yep.
Like, I can certainly understand your concerns
Yeah.
about somebody else's, but I truly appreciate when people actually do the right thing up
Yes.
front. Like that shows goodwill on
Right.
somebody's intent. And then once they're on the radar, these guys inspect these places all the
No, I
time,
know.
so.
And they go
so-
watch the building,
So
they
if we
look
do
at the
approve this
inspect the
today,
building.
make sure, like, if you see something out of line with this one, like, make sure you just shoot a note. Like,
Right.
and if you're not getting the response you deserve, then make sure you shoot a note to your counselor. If you're not getting your response you deserve from them, make sure you shoot a note to the mayor or to
Yeah.
us, like, because that's what we're here for. So I certainly can appreciate your
Yeah.
concerns, but I do like the fact that somebody's doing it up front.
Yeah,
So.
oh, that's awesome if they're doing like that.
Yeah.
But it's also now the parking issues.
Yeah,
Right.
That's why I asked
She has the
that.
parking.
Yeah.
But the other one does not.
Right.
I mean,
And hence why let's make sure we
Yes.
put it on their radar and let's figure out what's going on.
Well, thank you for your time.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you.
Thank you.
I appreciate you sticking around.
Yes.
And I'm not trying to diminish you, I hope you don't feel that way.
141 Elm Street, take a look at that.
Yeah, we'll make sure we get 141 on the radar. If you continue to see issues, please make sure to reach out to the inspectional services.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Conlon, Director.
Yeah.
He's the one that's gonna look at it.
He's not hired, but.
The guy cowering at the back of the.
Second call, third call that part of the hearing closed. All right. We got
I drove by
one
the
more
house,
thing
I was impressed with the
Yeah.
maintenance of the house. I feel like it's a financial situation, I feel like you're trying to do the right thing, and I
Yeah.
appreciate somebody doing
I
the
do
right
too.
thing up front.
I do too. I'll be voting in favor.
I'm in favor.
Uncharacteristically in favor.
Whoa, that's like the first one you did.
I know.
John's turning around, you gotta watch out.
I am in favor.
Likewise.
Can I have a motion, please?
Mr. Chairman, ZBA, STR 23-5, Agnieszka.
Very good.
Casey, for a special permit to operate a short-term rental business on the premise number 138 Elm Street, Quincy. I make a motion to grant the special permit.
Second.
On the motion?
Thank you very much.
Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? So moved. All set.
Thank you very much.
We have one more things, guys.
Not you.
What we did is, we got to set a date to rehear case number ZBA 2357, 72 South Bayfield. So, let's look.
Sorry, looks perfect. 'Cause
November.
I'm not here either of the meetings in October.
In October?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so we got to do
So, I mean, you
November.
have to go to
For
November.
1 month golf trip?
We got to go to November.
I'm a busy man, Jeff, I'm a busy
You're
man.
not going to be here at all in
Gotta
October.
get it done before ski season, too, so.
October, no Brian.
Brian,
So
make
write
sure
that
you,
down. October, no
Brian,
Brian.
next, make sure you call me before so we can plan our outfits again.
That's funny.
So I think the first meeting's postponed, is the elections?
I don't know.
Don't
The
be-
second week in November.
We got in trouble for that.
Yeah,
Second meeting.
she's looking right now.
Postpone the meeting.
Yeah, don't be changing, postponing.
Well, I mean, election season.
There's
I'm
no
just
one
telling
here.
you-
They're gonna
I'm just
be
telling
yelling
you,
at
I
us.
heard the case originally.
All right, here we go. Hey, guys. We have November 14th and the 20th.
November 14th.
28th, November 14th,
Yeah,
November
20th, close to Thanksgiving, 14th.
14th. All right, can I have a motion to move case number ZBA 23 to be reheard, 72 South Bayfield?
ZBA 20, can I make a motion, ZBA 2357, make a motion to reopen 72 South Bayfield Road for November 14th.
And then we can notify all the applicants and their,
In order to notify everyone.
notify everyone again. correct?
Second.
On the motion, seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, so moved. Motion adjourned? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, so moved. Thank you, gentlemen.